Hey there, fellow Potterheads. Buckle up your broomsticks, because today, we're diving headfirst into the magical mystery that is Albus Dumbledore, the most fascinating, complex, and secretly mischievous character in the wizarding world. We're tackling some jaw-dropping fan theories about our beloved headmaster that might just leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. 1. Did Dumbledore really die? What if he and Snape planned his death long before that fateful night on the Astronomy Tower? We're talking Mad-Eye Moody's insights on the killing curse, Bellatrix's cryptic remarks about meaning unforgivable curses, and even the sneaky role the Resurrection Stone might have played. Intrigued yet? 2. The Mirror of Erised. Dumbledore's secret weapon? Sure, he said he saw himself holding socks, but what if that was just classic Dumbledore misdirection? Could he have unlocked the mirror's true potential to solve impossible problems and stay 10 steps ahead of his enemies? Maybe he knew more than he let on. 3. Was Dumbledore actually Merlin in disguise? Picture this: a time-traveling, philosopher's stone-wielding wizard, guiding the wizarding world through centuries. Could our favorite headmaster be the legendary Merlin all along? It's wild, but hey, so is the wizarding world. So grab your wands, and let's deep dive into the mystery that is Albus Dumbledore. Which theory will hold up under the scrutiny of magical logic? Let's unravel this enigma together. Ooh, now this is a theory that could really shake things up. Let's dig into it. What if Albus Dumbledore's death was nothing more than a masterfully orchestrated illusion, the ultimate sleight of hand to keep the chessboard under his control? Dumbledore was notorious for playing the long game. His ability to anticipate events and position people like chess pieces is unparalleled. He always seemed to know what was coming next. Would a man like that really leave such a critical moment to chance? Probably not. Here's why the idea of a staged death makes sense. The Dumbledore-Snape dynamic. Dumbledore and Snape shared a bond built on years of trust, shared secrets, and mutual respect. Their relationship wasn't just professional. It was a delicate balance of loyalty and strategy. If anyone could pull off a faked death with Dumbledore, it was Snape. Their shared purpose to ultimately bring Voldemort down would justify even the most elaborate ruse. Here's where things get interesting. We know from Mad-Eye Moody's lessons and Bellatrix Lestrange's taunts that the killing curse only works if the caster has a genuine intent to kill. Could Snape, torn between his loyalty to Dumbledore and his dangerous position as a double agent, have ever truly meant to kill the man who trusted him above all others? If not, the curse might have had no lethal effect, despite the dramatic appearance. And what if Snape didn't even use a true killing curse? What if it was a modified version, or a completely different spell disguised as Avada Kedavra? Or if he also used a non-verbal spell? Dumbledore was blasted off the Astronomy Tower, yes. But what if it was all theatrics? Magic is nothing if not adaptable. And Dumbledore was one of the most skilled wizards of all time. He could have helped orchestrate every detail of this moment. Let's also not forget that Dumbledore had the Resurrection Stone in his possession. Could he have used its power to survive or recover from the staged event? It's a tantalizing possibility, especially when paired with Snape's potential fake curse. This would also explain why Dumbledore appeared to Harry in that liminal King's Cross scene in Deathly Hallows, not as a mere memory, but as someone truly alive in a way beyond understanding. If Dumbledore's death was a trick, it likely served a greater purpose. By dying, he removed himself as a target for Voldemort, while also solidifying Snape's position as Voldemort's most trusted ally. It allowed Snape to gain access to information and opportunities that might have been impossible otherwise. And let's not forget, Dumbledore's absence pushed Harry to step into his role as the Chosen One, forcing him to grow and face Voldemort head-on. What do you think? Could Dumbledore have been so cunning as to fake his death? Or is this theory just a case of us wishing we could have kept him around a little longer? Now this is an idea that adds even more intrigue to the mystery. Let's unravel this potential twist piece by piece, because it could completely change how we view Dumbledore's fate on the Astronomy Tower. What if the wand Draco Malfoy disarmed wasn't the true Elder Wand? It's entirely possible that Dumbledore, always a few steps ahead, kept a decoy wand at the ready for just such an occasion. If Dumbledore still had his actual wand concealed, it opens up a world of possibilities. Even in his weakened state, he might have had the means to control the situation or enhance any protective measures, like the power of the Resurrection Stone. We know the Resurrection Stone was in Dumbledore's possession before that night. While it's primarily associated with summoning the spirits of the dead, it's not far-fetched to think the stone might have abilities beyond that. Dumbledore was one of the greatest magical minds of his time. If anyone could unlock the deeper secrets of the Hallows, it would be him. Dumbledore could have discovered a way to use the Resurrection Stone to protect himself from true death. So when Snape's Avada Kedavra hit, the stone's magic might have intercepted the curse, creating the illusion of death. He could have been rendered unconscious, or placed in a state akin to the draft of living death, a condition so convincing that even experienced wizards like Snape and Voldemort would believe he had died. The Deathly Hallows legend describes the three Hallows as tools for mastering death. If the Elder Wand is invincible, and the invisibility cloak shields its wearer from all detection, it only makes sense that the Resurrection Stone might offer a defense against death itself. Perhaps the stone's power creates a sort of magical shield, ensuring that its wielder cannot be truly killed while in possession of it. If this is true, it would mean Dumbledore chose to appear dead, knowing the stone would protect him. Imagine Dumbledore, standing weak and vulnerable on the tower, already suffering from the cursed Horcrux ring and the potion he drank in the cave. He knows his time is short, and has calculated every possible move. When Snape casts the killing curse, the spell connects, but the Resurrection Stone, still in the ring, or another form, activates. Instead of dying, Dumbledore is shielded or rendered into a death-like state. His fall from the tower completes the illusion of death, ensuring that Voldemort and his followers believe they have won. Meanwhile, the Elder Wand's allegiance subtly shifts to Draco Malfoy because of the disarming spell, further obscuring the truth. If the Resurrection Stone could truly protect against death, it would be the most dangerous artifact in the wizarding world. Dumbledore, knowing human nature, might have kept this ability hidden to prevent the stone from becoming an object of obsession. After all, the Hallows have a dark history of corrupting those who seek them. It's also possible that Dumbledore discovered this power only after experimenting with the stone himself. Given the curse on the Horcrux ring and the toll it took on him, he may have been cautious about using the stone's full abilities. If he did unlock this secret, it was likely out of necessity to complete his mission and guide Harry to his destiny. This theory fits beautifully into the larger narrative of the Deathly Hallows. Together, the Hallows represent mastery over death. The Elder Wand makes you unbeatable. The Invisibility Cloak protects you from harm and detection, and the Resurrection Stone offers a way to defy death itself. If Dumbledore truly harnessed the full power of the Hallows, he could have staged his death as the ultimate move in the fight against Voldemort. By removing himself from the battlefield, he pushed Harry to take center stage, while ensuring the pieces of his plan fell into place. It's a tantalizing idea, and one that reinforces just how much of an enigma Dumbledore really was. What do you think? Could the Resurrection Stone have hidden powers we've only scratched the surface of? Or are we underestimating just how clever Dumbledore's grand design truly was? This idea also fits with Dumbledore's famous cryptic nature. He always seemed to have one last secret up his sleeve, one more card to play when things seemed dire. So if the Resurrection Stone allowed him to fake his death and operate in the shadows, it would explain how he was able to guide events even after his supposed demise. Also, Snape's behavior during the event adds another layer of mystery. While he followed through with the plan, there was an undercurrent of anger and sadness in his actions. When he later lashed out at Harry during their escape, could it have been because of the strain of keeping such a huge secret? If Dumbledore really did fake his death, it would have served an important purpose. So by dying, he allowed Harry to step into his role as a leader. It also made Voldemort believe that one of his greatest threats was gone, giving the Order of the Phoenix an advantage. In the meantime, Dumbledore could have gone into hiding, secretly watching over events, and helping in ways no one could detect. So where might he have gone? Some suggest he hid in Godric's Hollow, or another quiet, magical place. Others wonder if he used a time turner to travel to another time entirely, staying out of sight while still guiding events from the shadows. If this theory is true, it shows just how far Dumbledore was willing to go for the greater good. It would also explain why he always seemed to be in control, even when it looked like he wasn't. The idea of Dumbledore faking his death makes us question everything we thought we knew about the most brilliant wizard of his time. Could he really have been that clever? Maybe. After all, it is Dumbledore we're talking about. Okay, so let's move on to our second theory relating to Dumbledore and his use of the Mirror of Erised. This is one of my favorite theories. What if the mirror was more than just an enchanted object that showed one's deepest desires? What if Dumbledore, with his unmatched understanding of magic, unlocked secrets within the mirror that no one else could, turning it into his ultimate tool for solving the unsolvable? When we first encounter the mirror in the Philosopher's Stone, Dumbledore cryptically explains that it shows nothing more or less than the deepest, most desperate desire of our hearts. But as with many of his explanations, it feels incomplete, as though he's holding back. What if Dumbledore discovered a way to harness the mirror's magic, to glimpse outcomes, solutions, or even paths to achieve his desires. Dumbledore's deepest desire, as hinted at, might have been peace and safety for the wizarding world. An end to the chaos and pain caused by dark wizards like Grindelwald and Voldemort. So if the mirror reflected this desire back to him, could it have also shown him a roadmap to achieving it? The mirror might act as a magical guide, presenting Dumbledore with visions of choices and consequences, helping him see what steps would bring his desires closer to reality. Just consider how many times Dumbledore seemed to have uncanny knowledge of what was going to happen. He anticipated Harry's arrival at the Philosopher's Stone, prepared the protections around it, and knew precisely how to manipulate events to ensure Voldemort's eventual downfall. He always seemed to know where people would be, what they would do, and what needed to happen next. While his brilliance alone explains much of this, the mirror could have been his secret weapon, allowing him to see potential futures tied to his heart's desire. Another intriguing aspect is the connection between the mirror and Harry's journey. Dumbledore placed the Philosopher's Stone in the mirror, creating a puzzle only someone pure of heart could solve. But why the mirror? Well, perhaps because he understood its true nature and knew it was more than a simple reflective surface. This deeper magic could explain why he chose it to protect the stone. It wasn't just a hiding place, but an extension of his own insight into what was necessary to defeat Voldemort. So now let's see how this fits when we think about the Horcrux cave. Dumbledore knew about every single one of Voldemort's defenses. He knew where to find the cave, how to open the entrance with blood, and how to navigate the horrifying lake full of inferi. How could he possibly have known all this? The mirror may have shown him. Picture this. Dumbledore, standing before the mirror late at night, his heart filled with the desire to rid the world of Voldemort. As he stares into the glass, he doesn't just see Voldemort's defeat. He sees the clues needed to make it happen. The mirror might have shown him the shadowy cave by the sea, a blood-stained entrance, and the eerie glow of the lake inside. It might have hinted at the danger of the inferi, and the critical need to bring someone he could trust, like Harry. When Dumbledore and Harry reach the cave, Dumbledore's knowledge seems almost supernatural. He doesn't hesitate when he cuts his hand to open the entrance, as though he already knew the blood price Voldemort demanded. He knows exactly how to summon the boat, despite there being no obvious instructions. And when it comes time to drink the potion guarding the Horcrux, he doesn't pause to experiment or question. It's as if he's already prepared himself for the torment it will cause. If the mirror could show possibilities or solutions, it might explain why Dumbledore was often several steps ahead of everyone else. It could also answer why he always seemed so calm, even in the face of chaos. He wasn't guessing. He had already seen how things would unfold. Perhaps the mirror has limitations, and it only works for those who genuinely seek selfless desires, aligning with Dumbledore's frequent warnings about the dangers of selfishness. This would make the mirror useless to someone like Voldemort, who would see only his own greed reflected back at him, but invaluable to someone like Dumbledore, whose heart was focused on the greater good. The idea of the mirror as Dumbledore's secret weapon casts a new light on his character and his decisions. It would mean he wasn't just wise. He had an extraordinary tool at his disposal, one that he himself may have even created to give him insights no other wizard could have. And like any great wizard, he used it not for personal gain, but to ensure the survival of the wizarding world. Perhaps, in the end, the mirror wasn't just a reflection of desire, it was a reflection of destiny, one that Dumbledore alone could interpret. I could keep going on about this theory, but we will discuss the mirror in its own video, so keep an eye out for it. So, let's move on now to our last Dumbledore theory for today. And it's a good one. What if Albus Dumbledore wasn't just a wise and powerful wizard? What if he was actually Merlin himself, living in secret and guiding the wizarding world for centuries? It sounds wild, but when you think about it, there's more to this theory than meets the eye. Merlin is one of the most famous wizards in magical history, known for his unmatched skill, wisdom, and influence. In the Harry Potter world, Merlin is mentioned as a historical figure whose power inspired Salazar Slytherin himself. Merlin's time dated far before Hogwarts was founded, and obviously, Merlin was the founder of the Order of Merlin Award. But what if Merlin didn't just disappear into legend? What if he found a way to extend his life and continue shaping the world? Well, Dumbledore certainly fits the bill. He's often described as the greatest wizard of his time, known for his brilliance, compassion, and sense of justice. His deep knowledge of ancient magic, like the kind involved with the Deathly Hallows, seems almost too vast for one lifetime. Could it be that Dumbledore's understanding comes from centuries of experience, dating all the way back to the time of King Arthur? Here's where it gets interesting. Merlin was often associated with the idea of immortality, and was rumored to have mastered the secrets of time and life. And in the Harry Potter world, Dumbledore's interest in similar concepts is no secret. He worked with Nicholas Flamel to create the Philosopher's Stone, which grants immortality. Dumbledore's personality also lines up with what we'd expect from a modern-day Merlin. He's cryptic, wise, and always a few steps ahead of everyone else. He has a knack for nudging people toward their destinies without directly interfering, just like Merlin guiding King Arthur. Dumbledore's mentorship of Harry, helping him grow into the leader the wizarding world needed, mirrors the way Merlin helped Arthur become the legendary king of Camelot. And let's not forget the Phoenix, Fawkes. Phoenixes are creatures of legend, tied to both rebirth and immortality. If Merlin had a Phoenix companion, it would make sense for him to keep one through his later life as Dumbledore. Fawkes' tears save Harry and others, just as Merlin was said to use magic to protect and heal his allies. Even Dumbledore's sense of fashion, those long robes and his affinity for eccentric style, feels like a callback to the legendary image of Merlin. If Dumbledore is Merlin, it would explain his unmatched wisdom, his almost supernatural ability to predict events, and his deep connection to the most ancient and mysterious forms of magic. By taking on new identities over the centuries, he could stay involved in the wizarding world without anyone realizing his true origins. Okay, I know what a lot of you are now asking yourselves. What about the stories of Dumbledore's youth, family, and childhood? Well, this is an easy answer when you consider how cunning and far-thinking Dumbledore was. If Dumbledore is Merlin, it's completely believable that he would go to great lengths to weave a convincing backstory. Imagine this scenario. Merlin, having lived for centuries and completed countless quests in search of ancient magic or relics, decides to integrate into modern wizarding society. So he chooses Godric's Hollow, a town rich in magical history and far enough removed from the spotlight at the time, to settle down and begin a new chapter of his life. To avoid suspicion, Merlin, as Dumbledore, would be a master in the art of memory modification, crafting not only a believable past for himself, but also planting memories in the minds of everyone in the village. Suddenly, people in the village remember Albus Dumbledore as a young boy who grew up there, complete with an invented family history. The tragic story of Ariana's death during the duel with Grindelwald might even have been carefully created to give Dumbledore depth and humanity, things that would make others trust him. But here's where it gets even juicier. The idea that Dumbledore could have modified his own memories to fully believe the backstory. This would ensure he didn't accidentally slip up or contradict himself when interacting with others. Think about how many times Dumbledore seems haunted by his youth, his regrets, his mistakes, and his family tragedy. What if some of those memories are fabricated? What if he's carrying a pain that isn't entirely real, all for the sake of hiding his true identity as Merlin? And let's not forget the possibility that Dumbledore, or Merlin, was still on his quests when he first arrived in Godric's Hollow. Maybe he had been searching for magical artifacts, like the Deathly Hallows, to further his mastery of magic. Settling in Godric's Hollow, a place tied to the Hallows' history, would have been the perfect move for Merlin as he transitioned into his new identity. If this theory is true, Dumbledore's ability to create an entire life out of nothing would prove just how powerful and clever he really was. It also makes you wonder, how much of what we know about Dumbledore's past is true, and how much of it is part of the grand illusion? It adds another layer of mystery to a character who was already full of secrets. Maybe Dumbledore's story isn't just about one lifetime, it's about many lifetimes, stretching all the way back to the days of King Arthur. Whether he's Merlin or not, it's clear that Dumbledore's impact on the wizarding world is nothing short of legendary. And in a world where magic blurs the line between history and myth, maybe the two are one and the same. Well, that's it for this episode. Albus Dumbledore truly is one of the most fascinating and mysterious characters in the wizarding world, and we've only scratched the surface of the incredible theories surrounding him. Don't worry though, there's plenty more where that came from. We'll be diving into even more mind-blowing Dumbledore theories in future episodes, so keep your wands at the ready and your curiosity sharp. There's always something magical lurking just beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. The adventure is far from over, so stay tuned and keep your eyes peeled. Who knows what secrets we'll reveal next time? See you soon, fellow Potterheads, and remember, the magic is only just beginning.